this is Bob, and I'm here for the Simsbury show. And I used to live in Simsbury, but now I live in Arizona, and I've been out here for, close to 15 years. And this is where I learned to weave baskets and got into the whole hobby, art, and craft of basket weaving. And I wanted to just show you a few of the baskets I've woven over the years, and what prompted me to weave them, what they mean to me, and so forth. And most of what I weave is round reed. So this basket is a very typical example of what I love to weave. Round reed means it's round. The reed is round just like willow, only it's rattan. And I dye the willow myself. I use Dharma Trading Company colors or natural dye. The rim on this particular one is black walnut. I got it from the black walnuts from a tree outside my yard where I used to live. And this is a zigzag pattern, which means it's bi-directional weaving. So you weave one direction for a few rows, like this, the first start of the rows, and then you end all your weavers, and then you weave the other direction. And I'm left-handed, which is unusual in the world of basket weaving. Most people are right-handed. So all my zigzag weave baskets start going left, then right, then left, then right. And if you ever look at a basket and you want to know if you see a zigzag pattern or you see anything with a diagonal of color and you want to know the handedness of the person, just see which way it starts, left or right, and that'll tell you. And these are colors I like to weave with. The colors, a light color, a bright color, and a dark color together tend to be a really good appearance. And I've also had lots of practice at shaping. This is an assortment of a few baskets I've woven, but I've woven hundreds of baskets over the years. Most of them I've sold or given away, but I have a few that you can see behind me here. And but this is like a typical fun basket for me to weave, not too large, zigzag, fun colors, that kind of thing. Another round reed example is a basket like this that has a handle. It has a rope wrapped handle with a bit of a God's eye sort of a embellishment where the handle's inserted. And this has a core in the handle, like a thicker core, and I insert it down inside the basket and then wrap it with a smaller reed around here. And this has an arrows pattern with a couple of different colors in it. And this is a very more functional basket. It's sturdy. It's not. It's fairly light, fairly sturdy. And then let's see. Here's another round reed basket. So these are all fairly recently woven. And since I dye my reed myself, I have huge bins of reed. And I start with 1 pound spools of each color. And then as I weave on these baskets, I start to get remnants, little pieces. So if you're in quilting or basket weaving or any hobby, you know you start to accumulate all those remnants. Well, when I accumulate enough different colored remnants that make a nice color evolution and have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and then morph, I do a couple of rainbow baskets. So I did one of these rainbow baskets recently. Has nice pride colors, gay pride, and it has the black walnut spokes and rim. And each rim can be a little bit different. There are, 10, 15, 20 different versions of rims. You just sort of do row after row, and sometimes you make it up on your own. All of these baskets, by the way, I started with patterns or a basket weaving book. There's a great book by Flo Hoppe, and those taught me my basic techniques. And then after I learned the basic techniques of the base and the sides and the rim, I started to make up my own patterns. And all of these are just patterns I made up. And this is just rows of arrows. Each of these arrows really is 3 long weavers, and they go around twice. The first time it's over, over, over. Second time under, 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 and it makes these arrows. And then when you put it all together, it's really got a fun, colorful, morphing side pattern to it. This tends to be a little thicker and heavier. Another round reed type basket is willow. Willow is round like rattan, but it's a different material. It's a plant that grows in stalks. I'm not talking weeping willow, but like stalk bush willow. And this is a willow basket I wove. It's one of the only a couple of willow baskets I've woven. but I've currently planted willow in my yard in a large patch. So I'm hoping to cultivate willow and weave more of it. But willow's thicker, and you don't just use a crimping tool and bend. You have to really kink and bend the willow. And willow never comes much longer than 5 or 6 feet. So you have to keep adding new willow pieces. And there are techniques to putting the wide end to wide end and narrow end to narrow end. So there's a lot of specificity that goes on willow weaving. But it's fun. I like the feel of it and the smell of it, and willow's a wonderful material to weave with. And most of Europe and a lot of the world weaves out of willow, at least in mostly the European and Canadian areas, and northern United States weave in willow. So that's my willow basket that I wove last year in Poland. And the reason I wove this in Poland is because there was every 4 years they have an international weaving festival in Poland, and I networked with people on Facebook a couple of years ago, and one Polish guy said, "Hey, you should come to Poland for our next international weaving festival. It's a 2-day weaving competition." And I thought, I've never heard of anything like that before. But long story short, I signed up, they accepted me, I got in, and there were over 100 different countries represented, and it's a 2-day weaving competition with multiple categories, like baskets, haberdashery, furniture, sculpture, and I entered the basket weaving section. And you have to bring your reed, and you have to weave whatever you're going to do in 2 days. So it's a timed competition, which is not typically anything we do here in the United States. So it's really a time and skill competition, and this is the equivalent of what I wove in Poland. The one I wove in Poland was different colors, but this is an identical basket to what I wove, and I wove this in 2 days. It has a zigzag pattern on the bottom that I love with colors. It has this really great herringbone pattern in the middle, which is complex. There are about 200 some weavers, half of them facing one direction, half in another, so that's complex. And then more zigzag on the top and a nice rich woven border rim. So at the end of all of that, I wasn't expecting, because I'm not a full-time career basket weaver like a lot of these people in the competition are, so I didn't expect to get anything. And I got an honor, what we call an honorable mention. It was an award of distinction. So they acknowledged me for the weaving that I did. So I felt great about it. I had a load of fun. And now I'm networked with wonderful basket weaver friends all around the world: Europe, Asia, Australia, Vietnam, China, South America, the Ukraine, Russia. I've got basket weaving people I'm connected with all over the world, and it's phenomenal. So I wove this in the competition in Poland, and I wove this on the day after the competition. They had these little breakout work sessions with local willow weavers, and I jumped into one of the classes because I wanted to weave with willow. So that was a lot of fun, and I love this one. Prior to this, the only other willow I ever wove was this. It's very rustic, and I tried growing willow where I used to live up in the mountains in Pine in Arizona. And the willow's not very fine, the weaving is very rustic, but still it's a fun basket. It's this big, hard, this is going to last several lifetimes, it's so heavy duty. So that's the other willow one. I also, sometimes when I get tired or a little bit bored of round reed, I'll move over and weave a few things out of flat reed. And this is a flat reed basket. So flat reed is often woven baskets that have handles, and you can also weave large things like this is a sort of like a laundry or tote basket. This was a pattern that someone else wrote, and I wove this. And I wove it with our weaving guild in Phoenix when I used to belong there. And there are weaving guilds all around the country. So if you ever have an interest in weaving and you want to do it with other weavers, just Google your local area and look at basket weaving guilds or basket weaving conferences. But this was a fun basket, and it varies things. Instead of just weaving round reed, I'll weave flat reed for a while, and then I'll get a bug and weave a few of these, and then I get bored with that, and then I go back to round reed. So in basket weaving, between the colors and the patterns and the shapes and everything, it's pretty much unlimited. And I've even woven out of pine needles, which is a very different technique. all of these weavings I've talked to you about so far have been randing or over-under weaving. There's another whole category of basket weaving that is utilized much more in the native and indigenous people type weaving, and it's called coil weaving. So this is a pine needle basket, and it's done using a coil technique, similar to the Tohono O'odham tribe and other native weavers. And the core is a cluster of pine needles, and then I have artificial sinew, which I wrapped around as the coiling technique. And you start the bottom and you just go round and round and then start shaping it up the sides. To me, it feels a little bit tedious, but to do something different, and if you like the detail of it, pine needles or any kind of a core, they use bear grass in the desert as a core, and then they also use yucca leaves, thinly stripped down and dried, and they'll wrap it with yucca leaves with bear grass in the core. This is a pine needle core with artificial sinew. So that's pine needles, and I've woven a few of those, but it's hard to build up a big one unless you spend months working at it every day. And then sometimes I play with a lot more color. This basket I did a while back, and these side weavers are called French randing, where they're just short weavers diagonally, and they just go in and out up diagonally in a pattern. And I had a bunch of those flat weavers, if you can imagine them all in a bundle, and I dipped one end in blue dye for a while, and then one end in orange dye, and then I bent it in the middle a bit of a gold or yellow dye. It's basically sort of like tie dyeing, only with reed, and then I arranged it so that it looks like a chevron V of color going up the side. So I like to play with color in different ways too, and I've done a few of those. I did one commission basket that I thought, whenever someone tells me they want a certain kind of basket with certain colors, they have it in their mind, a lot of times I don't get the vision, and I start to, I tell them, okay, I'll weave it for you, but I'm not a real believer. And this one lady came and said, I want black and gray basket with natural. And I thought, how bland and boring. But I did the same kind of a variegated dye thing with black and gray, and I wove the chevron thing, and it came out very elegant and very sharp. And once again, I realized other people have great suggestions for color and ideas that never would have dawned on me. So I like collaborating with people and getting the ideas on what to weave that they have on their mind. Another example of a flat reed basket is this. I've woven lots of tote baskets like this that are utilitarian. And I wove a series of these in all different colors. I have a cubicle unit in my house similar to what's right behind me. And I wove baskets specifically, I measured them and built them specifically to fit in each cubicle, and they're all different colors. So that was sort of a fun, instead of buying those simple canvas things that you get at the store to put in your cubicles for storage, I wove my own baskets. And so that was a fun project. And I've done a few of these in different colors. And this one I taught in a basket class. I've taught a very similar kind of basket to this in a basket class. I've taught many classes over the years. And you get to the point where when you weave a lot, you start to get creative and go outside the normal boundaries. And a few years ago, in the town where I used to live, we even had they had a scarecrow contest in the fall. And I was thinking, okay, a scarecrow, I'll get a burlap bag and do the head and all that. And someone said, Bob, you weave baskets. Why don't you just weave the scarecrow head? So I thought about it for a while, and I actually wove a scarecrow head. And I've zip tied an old hat that I punctured the top in the hat and just tied it to it. But under this, basically it's a basket with a wiggly top, and I just wove it to make it look like an old burlap bag with a little nose and cross-eyed face things, and it's all reed. It's all rattan basket reed. So there really isn't any limit to the kinds of things you can do and have fun with once you start getting into basket weaving. But my basket weaving has been a great break from my main job, which is mostly working on computers and traveling around visiting hospitals. I'm in healthcare. And so this is very grounding, very relaxing. It's sort of a meditative thing for me. And it's taking me to all different states, going to basket conferences over the years, and it's even taken me to Poland for an international weaving competition. So basket weaving is just kind of feeds my soul, and it helps with creativity. I've collaborated with other artists. I've met a couple of different pottery artists, and we've collaborated where they'll make a bowl with holes punched in it, and then I'll weave on top. There's another artist I've worked with that makes pottery faces, and I just say poke holes around the side, and then I can weave something going out. Just all kinds of fun stuff. So I hope that you take up basket weaving. I hope you feel brave enough to pick it up, start weaving with it. I know people weave with paper. You can roll paper and weave with paper. One of the baskets that I bought this basket in Poland, and there are a number of paper weavers there, and they take newspaper or magazine and roll it up on a knitting needle, glue it, and then weave with it just the way we would with willow or rattan. So don't think that you're locked into just using rattan or just willow. You can weave with basically anything. So hopefully you'll watch my basket, how to make a basket videos. I have a thing called Bob's Checkerboard Basket, part 1 and part 2. And this is the end result of that set of weaving series. The first part is weaving the base, and then the second part is weaving the sides and the rim. And this will give you a good chance to step into basket weaving with round reed. I hope you have a great time. I hope you weave a lot and find other people to weave with. Thanks.